parts of the world. Welcome to another episode of Classic Show. I welcome you all for another episode of Classic Show. I'm your host for today. My name is Ambassador Samuel Anolua, and I have here with me a wonderful person, a wonderful dignity, a politician, a public figure, and a person of engineer Tunji Adekojo. Thank you very much, Daddy, for coming on the show today. We are very glad to have you. I know it's our honor to have you and the viewers at home to have you on the show today. So, sir, can we know you more?
Thank you, Samuel. And first and foremost, I think it's a privilege to actually be on this show. It's one of the most topmost shows, not only in the country at the moment, probably in the world at large. So back to your question. You have almost said everything that needed to be said about my introduction. Once again, as the moderator, the anchor said, my name is Engineer Tunji Adekunjo. Currently public servant in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources in Nigeria, at the agency of Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, for short, NMDPRA. Aside, a politician, not in terms of contesting for political posts for now, but as a political consultant, as a political analyst, a public policy analyst, and by extension, a data analyst, and by the side, a commodity trader.
Wow.
I think we can actually close for.
Wow, we are so blessed to have you on the show today. So thank you for coming, sir. So today we'll be talking on a vital thing that has been happening in our surroundings, something that has been a key factor in our society today. That is life after school. You know, many young minds today, after school, they are so worried on what to do, on how to start their life afresh. Imagine finishing secondary school, finishing university, badging your degrees with so much stress and everything, and then coming out here, there's no job out here, then you'll feel depressed. At first, we feel down that what am I going to do? How am I going to pick up my life? So, sir, I will ask you, how can a young graduate start his life? With the challenges in our society today, with so many things that are happening, unemployment rate is very high, competition is very high. If you are not connected, it will be very difficult for you to get a well-paying job in this our society today. But sir, I would love to ask you, how can a young person, a young graduate, start his life afresh?
That's a very deep question. And let me say this at the beginning that perhaps one section of this show might not be enough to really do a justice.
Enough analysis.
But I think we have to start from somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's probably is going to start from me, how we navigated to where we are today.
Okay.
So, you see, one fundamental thing is very important. There's this strategy called SWOT.
Wow, SWOT
analysis. Okay. As simple as SWOT analysis is something we will continue to do every time in our life. At the secondary school, you have to do SWOT analysis. At the university, you have to do SWOT analysis. When you finish, you have to continue to do SWOT analysis. What do we mean by this SWOT analysis? The X there stands for your strength. The W stands for your weakness, where the O stands for the opportunity, where the T stands for the threat or the risk. You see, the opportunity and the threat, they were external, while the strength and the weakness actually internal. But the wisdom there is this, that you optimize your strength and you outsource your weakness. Your weakness is not that something that you are not really good at, but that's what is called a quadrant of work. In the quadrant of work, it is termed as a quadrant that where that subject is easy to learn and easy to do. I repeat, the core thing you are looking at is easy to learn, easy to do. Every individual, whether before school, whether in school, whether after school, whether in marriage, whether in paid employment, whether in your own business, certain thing, this particular principle must guide you. What is my strength? What are my weaknesses? Where I have weakness, who is that fellow that is strong in that area? How do I come in becoming an engineer? I'm trying now to tell you the application of this. My father, my parents wanted me to be a medical doctor.
African parents.
African parents. I am a very brilliant student. I had all my subject A's apart from English, and it's obvious. You know, our background, English is quite challenging. So when you have the last credit in English, you have to celebrate. So, but because of the environment, because of the exposure, our analytical mind was quite developed. So, unknowingly to me that I was doing stress and thought analysis, I began to ask myself, which subject is easy for me to do? Which subject is easy for me to learn? I discovered that anything mathematical, anything calculation, anything that has to do with analysis, just wake me up. I just need to ask me, oh, which subject are we talking about? Which topic are we talking about? From there we pick up. And that is a variance to what my father wanted me to do. Then I say engineering. Which aspect of engineering do I want to do? It's vast. Is it chemical engineering? Is it mechanical engineering? Is it electrical engineering? Is it computer engineering? Is it biomedical engineering? And so forth. So after some of this analysis, I narrowed down to something called electrical and electrical engineering. That wasn't the end goal. The end goal is to be a kind of a telecom engineering, telecommunication. But as of our time, during that period, yes, you have to start with electrical engineering before you can now specialize in telecom engineering. I have a goal. I have a goal in mind. I saw a picture of a telecom engineer. I saw an image. You see, image is like 1,000 words. And that image was engraved in my mind. And I began to ask myself, how do I want to bring this image into reality? What are we talking about there? We're talking about vision. We're talking about vision is not a word. Vision is the image of the end result. And that's why you could see that in the scripture. If you are a student of scripture, which I know you do, God has to tell Abraham, as far as you can see. And if you are around last week, the pastor of one of the greatest church in the world, Christ Classic Nation, he said, vision is identifying the capability around you and utilizing them fully. So that image was there. We enter School of Engineering, but either you study engineering, either you study medicine, either you study business, one thing is common in school system is giving us the weapon, giving us the tools, giving us the process to solve problems. How do I know? Teacher comes to class, they give you information, he conducted test, he conducted exam. What is he saying? I have prepared you to solve the problem. I have given you the information, I have given you the knowledge, I have given you the tools to solve the problem. As far as I'm concerned, that is what the school system offered me. So when we come out with that mentality that I want to solve problems. And when we get to that level, whether the problem is engineering, it's inconsequential. Whether it's political, it's inconsequential. Whether it's medical, it's inconsequential. What matters is that you identify your strength, you identify your weakness, you know the opportunity, you know the threat, and you identify the problem you want to solve. So in trying to solve this problem, what are the tools? What are the people? What are the processes that need to bring together to see the way of solving this problem? And if you go back to school system, that's exactly what we do. The teacher will give us the lecture. He will give us assignments. When given the assignment, what happened? We look for books and material.
We do a lot of research.
A lot of research. If you don't understand, you do what?
Consult.
That aspect you don't understand, that is your weakness. That's where the weakness comes. So what do? You look for somebody that is good in that area. Maybe there's a very brilliant guy in the class. You consulted the guy. My friend, can you please explain this aspect to me? And the guy will gladly do what? Explain. What are you doing? You identify your weakness, you identify your strength, and you are trying to find problem to the weakness so that you can confront the greater challenge. That is the school. Okay, how do I come about after school? Maybe when we eventually get ourselves into where we are today. Don't let us joke with environment. My father has been a public servant. At the same time, he was a preacher. And when you see my combination, I'm a combination of public servant and a preacher. And if you look at it very well, those people that their parents are entrepreneurs, go and check very well, go and do the study. They end up being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
They end up being an entrepreneur. From the beginning, they will tell them, we can't do this. That is not what they are seeing. That's not the image that was formed in them. So an environment can form image in you, but the onus lies in you to see whether I want to continue with this image. Through teaching, through renewal of your mind, you can change the concept of the image the environment offered me. What does my environment offer me? Environment offered me 9 to 5. Environment offered me public service. Environment did not offer me entrepreneur. Environment did not offer me taking responsibility. So to the young graduate, there are a lot of premises we really need to iron here. During my time, we are trained to be responsible for somebody else. What do I mean? Or the concept of our training, or the concept of our going to school is to look for a job. And we ask a question, what about those who are going to create the job? If those one didn't create the job, why do I want to look for the job? I'll give you a typical example. I met a guy, I'm sure you know Bovas.
Yes. You've
heard about it. Bovas' son, David Something, was my classmate when he's in school together. Tokwe was exposed to entrepreneur, was exposed to the oil industry, how to buy oil and sell oil. Even while they were in school, Bovas' family has started buying oil and selling oil. While we are busy solving equations, when we are busy cramming material equations, they were solving oil problems to make money. Let me tell you, my dear brother, there are things that we gathered in school that you will never come across again in your life. And there are things that you gather in school that is what you are going to use throughout your life. All of them, they have their part. One is to strengthen the capacity of our brain. I remember Pastor was telling us how he solved Schrodinger equation. I mastered Schrodinger equation. I studied master equation from equation 1 to equation 150. From one step to other. That time there is no AI. That time there is no program to solve it. There's no computer. You have to cram it line by line, present after present. If this brain can pick it from equation 1 to equation 150, there's nothing this brain cannot handle. That is one thing the school system will allow you to achieve. It gives you a kind of self-awareness, the capacity that is in you. So when we move from there, not to digress, when we now finish school, I've given you the instance of Tope. My whole. I'm exposed to public service, I enter public service. Tope was exposed to selling oil. He entered oil. So one day we met. And when we met, and all of us we've left school, we were sharing this experience. He wasn't a really academic student as of that time because he knew what he wanted to do. Tope knew why he was in school. The direction of why he was in school is clear to him. I am going to sell oil when I finish. Many people doesn't know what to do when we are in school. Many people doesn't know what to do when they're in school. The life doesn't start when you finish school. The life actually starts before you enter school. In fact, I always tell people, if you have a mentor that time, mentor is not when you start working. Mentor should have commenced at the beginning of your life. This boy, the way we are seeing him, the way he's doing his leg like this, he's likely to be a footballer. A mentor will come in and begin to give me a picture of a footballer. So when the guy is going to school, he's going to school to learn the commerciality of football. You could see we are a lot of us missing in Africa. So we didn't start from that background. I think to cap it all, the first thing is to know why you are in school. When you know where you are in school, you have your strength with you. You know there's going to be an opportunity. There is no gainsaying. There's going to be threat. And in every aspect of life, every human being is embedded with strength and with weakness. Once you are able to encapsulate all these, are you getting me somewhere?
Yes, sir.
You are now ready to solve problems. Because there is always a problem to solve. I believe that every human being is created to solve a problem. But where the problem lies that human being doesn't know, is not aware of the problem it's supposed to solve. So once you are aware of the problem you're supposed to solve, whether you are entrepreneur, whether you are startup, whether you are in public service, whether you are in entertainment industry, whether in education industry, it gives you a clarity of that problem. And that is where the issue of non-compromise comes in. Look at the issue of Joseph. Joseph was given a clear picture of his end. So when he got to Potiphar's house, he knew this is not the end result. So if he didn't know, if he's not aware of what the end result supposed to be, he will have compromised in Potiphar's house. I mean, there will not be need. He was enjoying the favor of his master. The wife came and said, guys, let's continue cementing this favor. Free of charge. Do you know what? A lot of us are doing that. And why are we doing that? We don't know the end result. We are not aware. They thought, if Joseph has thought this is where I'm supposed to be, this is the end, he will have compromised with the madam. And what happened? He will not be able to be a prime minister. And if he's not able to be a prime minister, the famine that the guy is supposed to come and solve, he will not be able to solve that problem. And what happened? A lot of people might die. So, what I've done today is a kind of a journalistic statement. Yes, now. So, can I respond to the fact that, okay, how do you know and how do you get being entrepreneur, or how do you get into job? Because the kind of society we have now is a kind of a connection society.
Competitive one.
Very, very important. So there are certain things we did when we were in school. You prepare for the outside world. When we go to our final, some brethren gather together. They say, let's begin to pray that people should have first class and second class. I say it's not necessary. I say there's no point in praying for that again. I say by now, because you are in final year, second semester, and you are praying for first class, I say if you don't make the first class now, there's no point. I say let us pray. Let us send the angel ahead of us to prepare the place for us, whether with your first class or second class or whatever you have. There are enough for angels to use to get us to where we are heading for. Invariably, what am I saying is this: the school is like an incubator result. A lot of things will be handed over to you by the environment. Some things will be thrown to you, but if you don't prepare, you won't be able to handle it. For example, if you are not being trained on how to make wealth, even if you are given the key of central bank, you still not make use of it.
You still misuse it.
You still misuse it. There are a lot of groups in the school apart from academics. There are a lot of groups that help you prepare for leadership. There are a lot of groups that help you prepare for management. For example, I was a member of fellowship, and the kind of responsibility fellowship gave me indirectly, they didn't know that they are preparing me for leadership responsibility. Some belong to some, maybe like JC, or because some of those clubs. What did they do? They have a kind of a connection that prepare them for the world after school. What am I saying? Right from where we are in school, let us begin to look for those kind of collaboration. Let us begin to look for those kind of association. I'm not talking about cultic association here. Yeah, okay. Let's begin to get prepared. Let's begin to connect. Let's begin to look for those kind of things that, some people will just welcome into the world. If you belong to a certain club, they have people in that club that they have a student body. But outside student body, there are people in the ministry, there are people in oil and gas, there are people in politics, there are people in every walks of life. If you are fortunate to have those kind of environment, you are preparing your landing very easy. For example, I have some people when we are in electrical engineering in those days, they belong to a certain club. All of them, they were actually in PwC, Schlumberger, and stuff like that. Why? Because they are able to leverage your collaboration. All is not about your BSc. All is not about your first class. All is not about your second class. As far as that one is concerned, leveraging on society, leveraging on collaboration, leveraging on technology, leveraging on association is a good thing, is a starting point to actually expose you to where you are going to land when you finish school. Let me pause
Wow.
at the moment.
Wow. What a wonderful section. Thank you. In fact, you have really summarized everything. You have really talked so well today. Thank you very much,
You're
Sam.
welcome. Yeah.
Okay, before we go on the show today, I would love to ask, maybe let me just add to that SWOT. That SWOT of everything. Let me add S, SWOT.
Okay.
That is solving
Problems. Yes. Solving problems.
Solving problems. You know, African mentality we have that we should just go to school, then we are going to school to get job. We don't have this mentality of creating jobs. And then I think just recently we are now having that kind of people that are liberating, coming out to do what? Create jobs. Because it will be so funny how a premises living someone can just create a job of multi-million naira and then a graduate with first class masters are working under him. Yeah? You know, we have this mentality in Africa that let us just go to school and then get out and get jobs. Like you rightly said, that environment matters also. Right. Environment matters also. Now, coming down to that environment, now how can someone probably it grows up in a remote environment? Yeah. You know, that person coming to the city for the first time will be somehow challenging. Yeah. How can that person upgrade himself, maybe develop himself to meet the standard of that new environment?
Thank you once again. I'm very sure you know the answer. And I'm pretty sure that some people you have met, they must have this kind of a peculiar experience. For example, I was born in Agege, in Lagos. I spent about 17 years in Agege. I lost my mom at the age of 17. From Agege, I have to move to Mushin. And when I moved to Mushin, I moved to Boys High School from Sango Secondary School in Agege. That environment, my statistics shows me that out of 10 children, 2 children are likely to make it in life.
That's very somehow.
So, what will I do? Or what did I do? We cannot really remove the grace of God concerning himself to be sincere with ourselves. Somebody like late MP Abiola has a story to say. Somebody like Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has a story to say. In fact, our current president has his own story to say. There's nothing wrong if you are born into that environment. But like one of my friends will put it, he said it's become a criminal issue when you decided to remain in that environment. First and foremost, you have to tell yourself, this environment cannot limit me. Even though I was born here, even though this is the status of this environment, but that environment has a weakness. You have to bow down to the capacity of the human being that says, you are too small for me. For example, my father, my own biological father told me, I do not have money to take you to university. The highest I have for you is CUSAT. Will I break his head? No. All other siblings, they said the man is not a good man. And I say, Baba, what is it you have? He goes, bring it. But I know by the stings of grace that I'm not going to end as a school sat. Something within me begin to tell me I am more than this environment.
You are more.
I'm more. I'll give you an example of Michael Enuga, the man we call guru in telecom industry. When he finished from America to do something, when he came, they wanted to get him the kind of job I was in. He said, no, too much for that. I said, no, I can't be an employee in Guinness. And for you to be in Guinness that time, it's a big deal. So those people challenge their environment. In all, we cannot remove learning. It is learning that will create awareness that will make you to know that you are bigger than that environment. Change that environment that you thought is a slum, and that environment is waiting for you. I have finished school. Okay, I get work, I'm working. If you don't challenge that environment again, you will end up finishing that environment. At any point in time in your life, whatever environment is presenting must be challenged. And once it is challenged, what I found out personally, I said environment is weak. When you begin to heal the environment with prayer, with knowledge, and trusting the Holy Spirit, environment giving. And when it's giving, you're right. And secondly, you will have done a study or looking at, you will not be, that environment will have been you are not the only one. Can you get now? Who has been in that kind of environment before? There are probably by this some people that have been in the even worse environment, that particular one. So if they give those kind of people give a glimpse of hope for success, that if this man can get through this environment and make it, why not me? Why can't I do it? And if you see what our pastor here is saying much more, is that the capability to subdue your environment, the capability to challenge your environment, the capacity to do more is in you. Okay.
Wow, thank you very much. It was an awesome section with you, sir. Thank you for coming on the show today. We are so honored to have you on the show. I believe viewers at home, you have learned one or two things, particularly to those just coming up, to those just starting their life. I believe you have owed something, how you can use the SWOT analysis.
Very important.
That is self-awareness, right? And then identifying your weakness, and then what? Opportunities. And then the T's are
it's the threat.
The threat. And then and I add the S, that is the solve.
In fact, that thing called threat brought another opportunity on its own.
That's it.
For example, is COVID not a threat?
Yes, sir.
Was a threat. But people ride on that to bring a lot of things on. If you have listened to Pastor Dr. Felix very well, there is this thing called law of polarity. So every threat, there's a corresponding solution. So when you come from that mindset, you can even ride on threats to make a lot of living.
We have to continue. We won't leave here today because I believe engineer has time for us today, but because of our time, we need to go on the show today. And next week again, we'll be coming on your way with another wonderful episode again on what? Classic Show. Thank you very much, sir, for coming once again. I believe next time, if you throw an invitation to you, honor us. I believe very well.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. And every viewers at home, thank you for joining us on the show today. I will like us to know your humble host, Ambassador Samuel Anolua. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.